A long, long time ago, on the banks of the river Nile, in a green village surrounded by the shadows of palm and date trees, lived three young men. Their names were Aman, Arjun, and Abraham. Aman was a Muslim, Arjun was a Hindu, and Abraham was a Christian.
The melodies of their prayers were different,
And their places of worship were separate. One worshipped Allah, one Bhagwan, and the other God. But at the end of the day, the soul of their friendship was tied with an unbreakable thread. Their friendship was a living legend to the villagers. The first two balls of the Shahi Furni that Aman's mother prepared for Eid always went to Arjun and Abraham's houses. Everyone, from the village chief to the ordinary people, was mesmerized by their friendship. The elders would pray for them, while some narrow-minded people whispered behind their backs, "What kind of friendship is this where there is no distinction of religion?" But they did not care about such talk. They would laugh and say the paths to reach the Creator might be different, but humanity stands at the end of all paths. To them, friendship was a sacred bond above all religious identities, one that did not conform to any worldly rules. Often, in the late afternoon, they would sit by the riverbank at the edge of the village. They shared a single dream, that one day they would board a giant ship to cross the turbulent ocean and discover the unknown world on the other side. One day, they heard from a merchant that a month later, a huge merchant ship would sail from the port to a distant land. That very night, they decided they must get on that ship, even if it cost them all their life savings. They did not know yet that this dream journey was going to be the biggest, most difficult, and most educational test of their lives. With their meager life savings and sky-high dreams as their capital, the three friends boarded a massive wooden ship. The hustle and bustle of hundreds of passengers, the emotional moments of saying goodbye to loved ones, and the excitement of reaching the unknown blended together. When the ship left the port behind, moving past thousands of waving handkerchiefs and racing its giant sails onto the blue ocean, the hearts of the three friends danced with the joy of freedom and the thrill of the unknown. The first week of the journey was as perfect and beautiful as a painting drawn by an artist. During the day, silvery dolphins leaped across the calm sea. Predatory seagulls circled overhead, and at night the sky was adorned with a chandelier of millions of stars. Everything was like a dream. They would talk for hours, deeply discussing their faiths and the glory of the Creator. Aman would explain to his friends how his Allah bound this vast universe in a perfect order with the command of God, Kuna. Fayakun, be and it is. Arjun would share various stories of his gods and goddesses to prove how the victory of truth, righteousness, and justice is inevitable. And Abraham would talk about Jesus' forgiveness, mercy, and love, which teaches one to love even an enemy. The old captain and experienced sailors of the ship remarked that they had rarely seen such a calm sea and favorable wind in their long careers. The three friends thought their dream journey would continue to pass with such joy and peace. They were engrossed in planning what they would do in the new country and how they would reshape their destinies. But they forgot that nature always shows its most beautiful and calm face before revealing its most terrifying form. And the wait was almost over. On the 8th day of the journey, as midday turned into afternoon, the calm wind grew restless, and an ominous mountain of gray clouds began to gather on the horizon. As soon as the sun set, nature pounced with the pent-up fury of 1,000 years. The sky looked as if someone had covered it with a gigantic black blanket, leaving no trace of light. Frequent flashes of lightning ripped through the horizon, and in its terrifying light, the wild fury of the sea was briefly visible. Caught in the storm, the calm blue waves turned into small mountains. A wave of crying broke out among the passengers. To save their lives, people grabbed onto whatever they could find like straws. The high masts of the ship snapped like dry twigs, and the huge sails were torn to shreds in an instant by a gust of the storm. The three friends sat in a corner of the ship, holding each other's hands tightly. All their thrill and all their dreams had turned into a terrifying nightmare in a single moment. That death could approach so quickly and so ruthlessly was beyond their imagination. Suddenly, a mountain-like wave struck the side of the ship with immense force, as if an invisible monster was trying to crush the ship with all its might. Salty water began rushing into the hull of the ship. Before the passengers could comprehend anything, another massive wave almost capsized the ship. In that violent jolt, the three friends were thrown into the dark, ice-cold and turbulent sea. They somehow managed to grab onto a piece of broken wooden plank that was floating. It was pitch black all around, and the deadly, roaring sea was visible only in the intermittent flashes of lightning. Their bodies were becoming numb with cold, fear, and exhaustion. Every strike of the wave sucked away their remaining life force. When all human strength, intellect, and effort fail, and when science and logic give up, that is when one remembers the Almighty Creator. The three friends realized that there was no way for them to survive now without a miracle. Facing death, each of them began to beg for their lives from their respective creators. In the middle of the endless darkness and the turbulent sea, fighting for survival on a piece of wood, when the three friends felt that death was only a few moments away, when their jaws were locking from the cold and their bodies were no longer responding, the final cry of their lives emerged from within them. First, Abraham, who was the most rational one, closed his eyes and began to pray with trembling lips. There was no pretense in his plea. It was purely the cry of a helpless soul. He thought to himself, "Oh, my merciful God, I know I have wandered far from your path. I became arrogant with my life and knowledge, but you are forgiving. You love the lost sheep. If I can survive this great danger and step onto dry land again, I will give away half of all my wealth in your name. I will build a charitable clinic where the poor and helpless can receive free treatment. Oh Lord, save me just this once. I promise to dedicate the rest of my life to your service." The warm, salty tears rolling down his eyes merged into the cold water of the sea. Then Arjun forced his frozen hands together and looked up toward the cloud-covered sky. Remembering all his gods and goddesses, he said, "O my gods, O Mahadev, King of Kings and O Durga, Destroyer of dangers, protect me. If I am rescued from this sea of death, I will return to my village and build a massive, unprecedented temple like no one has ever seen before. I will cover the spire of that temple with pure gold. Every year I will organize a grand sacrifice, yajna, and feed thousands of hungry people to their heart's content. Grant me my life as charity. I promise I will never step onto the path of unrighteousness." Again, his voice held a strange mixture of fear and devotion. Finally, it was Zaman's turn. He was weeping bitterly. All the mistakes and negligence of his life flashed before his eyes. Looking up at the sky, he sobbed and said, "Ya Allah, O most merciful, O owner of the throne, I know I am a wretched sinner. I have been negligent in my prayers, disrespectful to my parents, and I have lied knowingly. O Allah, there is no savior besides you. If you save me from this hell, if you give me another chance to step on the earth you created, then I repent. I will donate 2/3 of my earnings to build orphanages and mosques. I will spend the rest of my life as a true Muslim and live as a good human being. O Almighty, please accept this supplication of mine." Three friends, three different faiths, but their cry was the same: to get their lives back just once. Each swore to give away their most valuable possessions in the path of the Creator. They still did not know that their prayers would be heard, but the real test would begin right after. They did not know how much time had passed after their prayers, but at one point they felt that the wild fury of nature was gradually subsiding. The storm that was destroying everything just moments ago seemed to calm down under an invisible command. The wild roar of the wind eventually turned into a gentle sigh and stopped. The mountain-high waves calmed down like a tired child when the dim light of the silver moon pierced through the blanket of black clouds and fell upon the water. The sight was nothing short of a miracle to them. When the first light of dawn peeked through the eastern sky, that sunrise was not just an ordinary morning to them. It was a rebirth, a symbol of a new life. And in that golden light, they saw the faint silhouette of a ship in the distance. Life seemed to surge anew into their near-dead bodies. Gathering the last of their strength, they began to shout in weak voices. The vessel belonged to a group of poor but kind fishermen. They had gone out to fish after the storm and, by good fortune, spotted these three helpless souls. The fishermen quickly pulled them into their boat, wrapped their bodies in warm blankets, and gave them a little bread and water. When the three friends stepped onto the safe boat, tears of disbelief and joy filled their eyes. They hugged each other, silently expressing their immense gratitude to the Creator. They could hardly believe they had truly returned from the jaws of death. So new life felt absolute as they reached dry shore a few hours later, all three prostrated on the ground, thanking the Creator according to their respective faiths. The memories of that terrifying night, the helplessness, and the life-risking vows made to the Creator were still fresh in their minds. The three of them dismissed the solemn vows they had made during their dark hours, mocked them, and returned to their old lifestyles. They forgot the helplessness, the tears, and the miraculous help of that fateful night. What did we learn from this story? We learned that true faith or belief is not limited to calling upon the Creator only in times of danger. The real test happens after the danger has passed, in moments of comfort and ease. When we no longer have any desperate needs, when we are completely safe, do we still keep our word? Do we still remember the Creator in the same way we did on that night of peril? Like these three friends, many of us make numerous promises to the Creator during difficult times in our lives, the night before an exam, or while lying on a hospital bed. But as soon as the danger persists, we forget everything. We think the Creator is merciful, so He will forgive our moment of weakness. But we forget that He does not just hear our words. He looks at our intentions and motives. He sees whether the person inside us remains the same before, during, and after crisis, or if we change. True faith is like an immovable mountain that remains steady through storms, rain, and sunshine alike. It is not a business transaction, where you ask for help in danger and forget everything once rescued. Before ending the video, I have a question for you. If you were in the place of those three friends, would you have kept your promise? Ask your conscience and let us know your honest answer in the comments. And if this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more educational stories. Thank you.